Oh my gosh. Finally. Oh my gosh. All right. What an ordeal. Man, going live here, it requires a margarita or something just to keep my stress level in check. But anyway, I made it. Hello, hello, hello out there. Tonight we have a little dinner music in the background. Those of you who are joining us. Get my things arranged here. So I made it. We finally got to go live. And the internet, I tell you, I should rename this live stream Dealing with the Internet from an Island, because it's a little crazy. Anyway, hi. See folks are jumping on. Hi to me, so jump on, let me know where you are, what's going on in your world. Let me have some water real quick. Okay. Hi, Hugh. Hi, it's been a minute. I haven't heard from you for a while. Well, okay, so I will, you guys know from the topic, or from the title, sorry, I should say that the topic tonight is about this whole coronavirus thing, this COVID-19, as it's technically called, I guess. It's actually this a strain of the SARS coronavirus. And I was looking at some of the information online about it, because you may have seen, like on Facebook or wherever you do your social media stuff, that people are holding up Lysol cans saying, if this thing is new, how come it says coronavirus on the Lysol can? But apparently coronavirus is a strain of viruses. It is not just one virus. It's the name of a type of viruses. And this most recent one is COVID-19, because I guess it was first recognized in 2019. So that's what it is. So how's it affecting us here in the DR? Good news. It could be a short video because really we're completely safe. And so there have been, I'll just give you the breakdown of information that I have so far. I did some research and I've been paying attention to what different sources are saying. So I will share that information with you. Of course, you do your own research if you're planning to cover, if you're planning to do any traveling, obviously check and see what's going on. But here's the latest that I could get as far as it relates to the DR, and then just in general. Okay, so first let's talk about what is it, right? How do you know if maybe you're susceptible or something? Typically it starts with a sore throat. So we're still technically in winter. It depends upon where you are, how strong your winter is feeling, if you're in snow, if you've got rain, if it's cold, if it's kind of turning into spring, whatever. Anyway, it starts with a sore throat. And can turn to, you may have some runny nose symptoms, and then a dry cough. So if you're sneezing and really mucusy and all that, like a wet cough, that is what we're talking about. This is a dry cough. It is a respiratory issue. Can also include fever and a pneumonia, right? Difficulty breathing. This is a disease that impacts the lungs, and apparently they've shown x-rays of a healthy lung and then a lung that is infected by this COVID virus, and it has a bunch of white splotches in it. You can see clearly that the disease is taking over the lungs. So there's a lot of difficulty breathing. So that is why the people who have prior symptoms, let's say conditions involving challenges to your breathing, to your lungs, older people, things like that, that's why they may be more susceptible to the effects of this disease. Other than that, generally, obviously, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not trying to suggest that anyone do anything other than what is being said by the CDC, these organizations, the World Health Organization. Everybody's put out lots of stuff, so it's easy to go online and find out from reputable sources what is supposed to happen. Okay, so so that's how you sort of know if you or someone that you know maybe is in the ballpark. If you work with people who are exhibiting these kinds of symptoms, those are your clues, right? What you should know is that most people recover from this. This is not necessarily a fatal illness. As I said, it is mainly affecting a significant, well, not even a significant, but it's more significantly impacting older people than it is younger people. But even within the older, I think it's above 60 and above community, it's 8% of people who come down with this disease have actually died from it. Confirmed cases in the DR, 5 so far that I have read of at the most recent count. None of these people are Dominican. 4 Italians, 1 Canadian, and they're all contained. So what you should know is that, okay, so I looked at the US Embassy website. You can definitely check that. Yeah, so 4 from Italy, 1 Canadian. The DR, Dominican Republic, has the capacity to diagnose and treat the disease here locally. So if somehow you're here, or you find out you're here and you have it, they can take care of you here. So you're not going to be like, in some backwoods place, like with no ability to receive treatment. They have all of that. The Ministry of Public Health, I looked on their website, they have measures in place. They have additional medical personnel at all the points of entry. They do screenings. Let me see here. Yeah, so they've introduced some new entry requirements to the country, so that if, for example, you're traveling to visit or business or whatever, there's an additional form you're going to fill out that will ask you, for example, where you've been recently. Have you been to any of the majorly affected countries? China, a lot of the countries in Europe, some countries in South America have now reported cases of this virus. So you're going to have to fill out a little bit more. And if you have been to one of those countries, you may be subject to some quarantine. I think it says anybody coming who's recently arriving from China. It said the past 14 days, but that may change. So anybody who's recently arriving from China, even with no symptoms, may be home quarantined for a period of time. Flights for Italy have been canceled. What I read is specific from Milan, although there may be additional screening for people who are coming from other parts of Italy or other parts of Europe even. Again, possible self-isolation. What's your question? Supposed to visit the... Oh no, I wouldn't worry at all about flying. In fact, so in terms of like the airlines, what I read, and which website did I look at? I'm not sure, but check for yourself. It says that actually because of the filtration on airplanes, there actually is not a problem. I mean, obviously be careful, but there's not really a problem in terms of the air. What every single website I have looked at is really stressing is the hand washing, right? With just basic soap and water for 20 seconds. If for some reason you don't have soap and water, if let's say you go someplace at the public bathroom or on an airplane, whatever, and they've run out, any type of hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol. You can carry stuff with you, hydrogen peroxide, an alcohol product. The other thing you want to be concerned with, or not concerned, but aware of, is that even if you're not around someone maybe who has it, or you're in a situation where you're flying and you're concerned about that, the people around you, surfaces, right? So the virus can live, I don't want to call it disease, but the virus can live, let me see my notes, can live on surfaces for up to, oh shoot, where'd I put it? Oh, for up to 9 days. So metal surfaces, glass surfaces, and plastic surfaces are hospitable environments for this virus. And so for up to 9 days, but if you disinfect using, again, hydrogen peroxide, alcohol products, and then there's a bunch of other ones that had like long names, chemical names, but those are really good disinfectants and will wipe out, significantly any possibility of the virus spreading. So I think you should feel comfortable coming here. Also know that if you do plan to travel to the DR now or anytime probably in the near future, you're going to be screened. You're going to be asked where you've been. There may be some medical personnel on site at the airports, or even if you're driving, well, you'd only be driving through from Haiti, but any point of entry, they're going to be doing thorough checks. So I wouldn't worry about it. I feel completely safe here. I mean, I'm a bit of I'm not a germaphobe, but I'm definitely sort of a neat freak anyway. And so I'm always like, clean this and wipe that. I'm always wiping things down. And many people have asked me, am I concerned? Am I worried? Would I rather be in the US? Let me tell you, the US is the last place I want to be right now because there's so much fear and hype and just craziness about this thing. I get it, but there's nobody here who's, there are no people, there are no Dominicans that have been acknowledged that have any type of, there's no symptoms, there's no nothing happening. It's like completely business as usual here. I did go to the grocery store I was in there about a week ago and I saw some people wearing masks. And I think that was before like really concrete information had begun to come out about, what's really going on. So, and it was mainly employees like stocking shelves or working in different parts of the grocery store had on masks. Not everybody. But I think also because they're coming in contact with the public, you know, handling meets, things like that. I did read also a website that talked about myths. And so, for example, one of the things that I had read initially that was like kind of helpful was that the virus is not heat resistant. So, for example, being in a warm climate like where we are now, where I am, would be really helpful, which may explain, people are saying, well, that's why no one in Africa is really getting it, because it's hot there. I read that that's a myth, that hot and humid climates aren't necessarily, don't keep the virus away, but what happens is that you're less likely to be in close contact with other people because it's hot, and so it doesn't spread as much there. So whatever the reasoning is, it's not a thing here. It's not a thing. That is not to say that people are not taking precautions and people aren't discussing it, and some people are concerned. Of course, when the WHO, World Health Organization, declares something a pandemic, which just means it's a disease, it's a new disease for which people don't have an immunity at this point, and it's spreading globally. That is what a pandemic is. It doesn't mean that certain death or things like that. So I think it's really important to educate yourselves, right? Educate yourself so you know what's really going on, because there's just, you know, there's been all this stuff online and everybody now is shutting this down, and, you know, there's sort of like a mass hysteria, and I understand everybody wants to be safe, but it's important to understand how to be safe and what that really means. Okay, so let me check your questions. So I plan to visit the US. I have a client there, and I may, well, actually we've got a backlog. Yeah, I may. Summertime, I'm not sure, but no, so I don't have concrete plans. I do have travel plans coming up, but they're not to the US, so I don't believe I'm going to be impacted at all. Nobody has contacted me from the airlines, anything. It looks like everything's just normal. Safe in Connecticut, yeah, closed until further notice, right? I guess, I mean, I understand, like I said, that, you know, they want to protect everybody, and certainly children, although I believe it was either the CDC or the World Health Organization website I was consulting, and it said that, it said that children are some of the least likely people to contract this illness. So I'm not sure why that is, although it could be because their immune systems, well, they're not compromised, right? Older people may have more compromised bronchial systems or respiratory systems. Not sure, but like young kids, I won't say no one's worried about them, but they are not at all, well, not at all, but they're very little affected by this. So, one from Spain. So, okay, hold on. So that's okay. So now we're getting conflicting information. You have 5. I had 4 from Italy. I'm talking about this latest comment by Tregua 24, right? The U.S. Embassy's website says there's 5 confirmed cases, that 4 of those are from Italy and 1 is from Canada. You're saying, I guess what you've researched or found out somehow is that there are 3 from Italy, 1 from Canada, and 1 from Spain. The person from Spain, I saw that somewhere else. They were not actually from Spain. They had done a layover in Spain, but they were from somewhere else. I don't think it was Italy. I don't know. And I don't know if that's actually confirmed, because at first they said, oh, these people at cruise ships, right? By the way, they've stopped. If you are on a cruise ship and they have any information that there's anyone who's been infected with this, who tests positive, you are not allowed to get off at this port. For a while, the DO stopped all cruise ships from being able to enter the port. Like, they just shut it all down. So, but no, you're right. The virus is not circulating among the population. There's nothing local. There's nothing regional. There's no reported incidents of it happening here. Let me go back to my notes, because I took some notes for you guys to share. Yeah, okay, so no cruise ships with COVID, like positive passengers can dock here. Recently arrived from China, even with no symptoms, maybe quarantine. I mentioned that. Most people recover. What else do I have? Okay, so symptoms. What's it? The symptoms appear between 2 and 14 days after exposure. So if you are at a workplace where, you know, people have been sick, or there's a lot of close contact or whatever, check yourself out. Check yourself out now. Check yourself out in a couple of weeks, right? Pay attention. Again, it's the way to sort of combat this is really simple. Frequent hand washing, as I said, comes up again and again and again. So you don't have to do anything really special. I have read repeatedly that all these masks that people are wearing are basically ineffective, because unless you have, that you have contracted this, you don't need to get a mask. Okay, so frequent hand washing, soap and water for 20 seconds, or 60% or more alcohol-based hand sanitizers. Of course, you're going to avoid touching your hand, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, any part of your face with unwashed hands. So like today, I went to the gym. I had a workout. A gym is a place, right? Everybody's sweating and bodily fluids and, God, and you're laying on stuff. And I always use a towel, but still, I wash my hands before I leave the gym anyway, because I don't like to leave there and just be dusty. That's just me. I told you I'm a bit of a germaphobe. So I wash my hands and I kind of wash my face off with just some water, dry off, and then boom, I'm gone. I did that anyway, but I did it again today because, spunky people in the gym. I was one of them, but I cleaned out as much as I could. Then I came home and I showered. Yeah, so increased medical personnel at the points of entry. The virus is not spreading at a local or community level here. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, from what I saw, there's not a lot of like extra information. All right, what are you saying? Quad, do I believe like so many that this was no accident? You know what? I don't know. I've thought about that. I've thought about the fact, people talking about, it's an election year, this whole trade war thing with China. I mean, there's been all kinds of things I've read and heard about, and people are speculating. So, I'm a love person. I like to believe in love. And I hate to think that someone would be willing to do this. But, we had the Tuskegee experiment way back when. And people say AIDS was manufactured. I mean, lots of things have been supposedly manufactured. I will say, do I think it's possible? Absolutely, I think it's possible. Do I think there are people out there who would do something like this? Sure, because China is becoming too powerful or, what have you. But at what cost is the thing. It's like, look what it's done. Supposedly, if it's meant to contain China and keep them back as a new world superpower. Meanwhile, look at the Dow Jones. It's ruining the American economy, right? I know people who've lost, I think, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, certainly tens of thousands of dollars in a matter of like a week, just wiped out. There are people whose entire retirements and things like that are being devastated. And so I don't know, like if someone's doing this, I don't know if they think through this or they feel like they're those who are going to be able to survive it. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. But anyway, I don't know. I mean, there have been so many of these things. There was the SARS, there's the swine flu, the avian flu. There's always something. And I am not an alarmist. I don't tend to get freaked out when I hear about stuff like this because I feel like, just be safe and be smart. And I just don't, you know what, I have faith. That's the thing too. So I just want to say this about fear. If you have any sort of faith at all in a creator, you will not be afraid because as one of my friends, I have a friend in the UK and she used to live here and she sent me something today saying, all this is like, let me see if I can find it on my phone. It's sort of like predetermined and Revelations, a pale horseman or something. And that this is one of the signs. And I don't know, I don't want to go into all of that, but like the floods and the earthquakes and children killing their parents and crazy stuff happening. Remember those brothers in Los Angeles years ago, the Menendez brothers, and just crazy stuff is happening all over the world. And it has been happening. So whether it's engineered or not, I mean, it's like the world is going nuts, right? And so I just try to stay focused and stay positive. And I would say every morning I get up now and I speak favor over my life, over my son, over my well-being, over my career, over my home. I just believe that is one of the best ways to combat this kind of stuff. So yeah, that's why I said it really could be a short video because we're good. I don't foresee suddenly something happening where, oh my gosh, now the Dominican Republic is just swarming with this disease, with people having this virus. I don't think so. I don't know. Like I said, the U.S., I can't speak to that. What the so-called president is doing, like nothing. So here, let me ask you guys this. So apparently he's banned all travel into the United States from Europe, but with the exception of like the UK, Scotland, I think Ireland, and is it England? Because he has financial interest there, property. Crazy, right? So to that extent, could it be engineered? And I don't know. That's an interesting question, but when we could speculate forever and not really know. Hey, Real Tizok, what do you mean in the DR? I don't understand. There's nothing else that came on your comment. It just says in the DR. Tell me what you guys have heard. No, so listen, we're fine here. The biggest gripe people have right now in my town is that it's been raining a lot. So there's visitors, they want to be at the beach every day. And it's like, well, sorry. Whether that's climate change, but if you believe in climate change, some people don't believe in climate change. I don't know. But it's been very rainy here. We had a beautiful morning, beautiful, and then it poured down rain this afternoon. Like I drove out and there was just huge flooding in the streets. And that's more of a concern for many people. But no corona issues. French guy from overseas that had corona in DR. I haven't heard about any French people. As I mentioned earlier, I've heard that there were 4 Italians who came and a Canadian. Now, maybe it's a French Canadian. I don't know. There are French Canadians here. I mean, there's people who are French who live in Italy, so it's when they say someone from Italy, do they mean specifically Italian people or just someone who came from Italy? I don't know. It's kind of non-specific. Okay, let's see. The cruise ship off the coast of San Francisco. Right, they docked in Oakland, I think, right? That's where I'm from. Held at port for several days. Right, docked in the port of Oakland, exactly. People are still quarantined. Can you imagine? Hey, Mary. So if you guys saw the, Mary, can I tell them who you are? I don't want to out you unless it's okay. Mary, let me know. If it's okay that I say who you are specifically, say yes. Otherwise, I won't say it. Yeah, so, okay, great. So yeah, so Real Tizok, so yeah, we were already saying the most recent information I've heard is that there were 4 Italians and 1 Canadian who tested positive for the virus and they've been quarantined, but there's no other spread, and so potentially someone who came through Spain, not necessarily a Spaniard, but someone who came through Spain, but that's not what I'm seeing on the U.S. Embassy website is one of the resources that I consulted. I also looked at the CDC website, the World Health Organization website, and a few others that kind of led me. Oh, the Ministry of Public Health here in the DR, check them. So Mary Jones, you guys, was in one of my videos. She's in the nightlife video, and she is the woman who said that she and her husband are building a villa here. And it's funny because I was out that night shooting just kind of randomly and went to one of these nightlife spots just to show you guys like what's happening down here. And I think, did you say, she's like, free island girl. I'm like, oh my God, it still surprises me when this happens, although it's beginning to happen much more, kind of funny. And so we talked and I met her and her husband. They were really nice and they're coming down here. When are you coming, Mary? Did you say? Next Saturday. Oh my gosh, really, really soon. Well, bring some, what do you call those things? Like ponchos, because it's very wet right now. It's very wet. I think it may have been raining here when you were here before too. That's just the way it is. So, hola, what's up? Hi, everybody. By the way, thank you guys for tuning in. I had a little trouble getting started tonight because my internet, what? That is the bigger issue right now. The internet service here is nuts. But I will say the picture's a little bit grainy tonight, but not like ridiculously blurry and fuzzy like it was last time. So that's an upgrade. Okay. What else can I share with you? News from the DR. We are having elections here. There's a lot of elections going on throughout the country. They were supposed to have happened on, it was February, almost like a month ago, the 6th or something. But there was some kind of, people were saying it was, so there's, I don't know a lot about the political system, but there were 2 major parties. One is the PLD, which stands for something, Partido, like Liberal Democratic Party, something like that. And the other one, I can't remember the name, sorry. But apparently when people went to the polls, those electronic voting machines, only supposedly had the PLD candidates available. They said, oh, the other ones, the machines weren't working. And so you could only vote for the PLD candidate. And the people went bananas, understandably, because they're like, it's totally rigged and the government's trying to just only support this one party. And so they suspended the elections in the middle of that day. And so like mayoral elections here in this town, Las Terrenas, in the capital, all the country, and like, registrars, all kinds of different levels of public office were affected. And so the not the runoff, but I guess the re-election, the revised date is March 15th, so in a couple of days. So now, oh my gosh, let me just say this. I've already talked about how before Dominican culture is loud. And one of the ways that these candidates promote themselves is by putting I'm talking about ginormous speakers on the back of these little bitty like pickup trucks, like little teeny ones, and just blasting music and saying, la, 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 for whoever their candidate is, and driving slowly through the street. You have to hear this noise. Sorry, but it's straight up noise. And like last night I was coming home from somewhere, and there were all these people in the street with like flags and stuff. And it was like driving, how when football players come out of the tunnel and there's like this sort of that dome thing, that half circle they run through, and the cheerleaders are doing all this stuff. It was like driving through one of those things with people with all these flags and just bumper to bumper. I mean, granted, it was only like, part of a block, but still it was like pounding music. And I'm like, oh my God, I just want to get home. So they're going bananas here now because the elections are happening in a few days. And, that's really more news here now. And whether, the whole thing about corruption. So after that February, I think it was February 6th, whatever the date was, where the elections were supposed to happen but didn't, people were marching. You may have seen this in the news. People were marching and just having a fit and protesting and like shutting down businesses and everything because they're saying we are so sick of government corruption and it has to be fair. You got to put everybody on the ballot and all of that. So that's what's happening here. That's a much bigger story here than this whole virus thing. People are talking about the virus, but I don't think anybody's really, really concerned because nobody's got it. Oh, like married. What's up? Okay, so I'm checking these things here. Yeah, the DR is a safe place. It's. I mean, obviously, whether you're talking about some type of pandemic or safety in the streets, gun violence. I was talking to my son today, as a matter of fact, about safety here. And I'm trying to think, I don't know how it came up, but we were saying, like, when's the last time you heard about any violence here? And we're like, I could not think of an incident. We couldn't, whereas in the US, unfortunately, it's like, oh gosh, it's become so common there that like, school shootings or the latest horrific thing that happened is just the latest thing that happened. It's not even I don't want to say it's not a big deal, but it's just not, it doesn't affect us the way that it used to. And that's really sad. Does violence happen here? Does crime happen here? Of course it does. It happens everywhere. But, I mean, I could walk out of my house right now and walk down the street by myself, damn near naked. I mean, I obviously wouldn't do that, but I'm saying, no one's really going to bother me. Now, if I go put myself, in a particular area, or, I'm a single woman where a bunch of men are hanging, I'm not going to do things that are obviously probably not a good idea. But generally, I don't think you guys have to worry. Whether you're coming to visit just for vacation or marry, you guys are moving here with your kids, you can be out at dinner and feel safe. And not just like the tourist spots, you can go to local spots with just regular Dominicans, not like fancy Dominicans, but regular people. In fact, they're often getting better care of you than some of the Europeans will. I mean, I've heard sometimes worse stories about, the expat people off. So anyway, investors should buy. So SDAO, I'm assuming that's kind of some type of stock or something, and Skillsling to TQ. I don't know what that is. What does that mean? I'm not a finance person. They shut down the colleges. Yeah, so the NBA, we know, we're suspended the season. I've got a friend who has also a friend who has a big Broadway show. Have you guys heard? Have you heard of Step Africa? It's apparently this fantastic show was on Broadway, but all the Broadway shows are shut down for a while. And what else? Well, flights, of just a lot of stuff. It's. I mean, like, I suppose it's good from the standpoint of public safety, public health, but all these people who are being affected, jobs and just the functioning of cities is a disaster now. So Yeah, I mean, I'm looking in from afar, and I'd like to visit the U.S. soon. I'd like to come back, and as I said, I may be there. I don't know when, because so here's the deal. I have a client, and I'm going to be representing her in a hearing at some point. But I got an email today from this particular agency. It's a federal agency, and they said, "Oh, there's 500 cases before yours." So I was like, "Oh, we might not get up on our turn for 2 years. Like, who knows?" So, but I mean, that's not the only reason I'd be coming there. All right, S Dow makes money on the way down. TQQ does the opposite. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Dow's in free fall right now. It's terrible. It's terrible. But let me ask you guys this. Why does that happen when there's a situation about like a health crisis, this pandemic situation? Why is that so intricately affecting the stock market and the financial markets? What is it that people, I'm not entirely clear about the relationship between the two. Somebody who's smarter than I am, at least in that area, let me know, please, because I don't know. Anyway, anything else you want to know about the DR? Like I said, we're fine. Weather is a little iffy. It's supposed to rain I think I looked earlier because I was supposed to do an interview on the beach today, and I had to cancel it because it was pouring down in the afternoon. Hugh, okay, I just got a message from somebody. So let me see if I can just check the weather really quick for you guys and tell you. So it says tomorrow, Friday, thunderstorms. Okay, so let me see here. Oh, it looks like it's gonna be partly cloudy, but tomorrow, like up into the afternoon, we're in the low 80s. It's all good. It's all good. Oh, so it just changed now. So Friday it predicted thunderstorms earlier, but now apparently that's not a thing. Looks like Saturday we may have some storms. Sunday looks like all clear, and every day it's like 82, 80, 78, some rain back Tuesday, Wednesday, next week again with rain. So we're definitely having rain now, but that's about it. That's about the only problem. Disrupt supply chains because of fear of products being shipped in from these countries. Says net profits drop. Okay, I get that. That's it. That seems like, okay. I guess the supply chains are a bigger deal than I'm aware of. Okay. So like Apple products, for example, coming from China, where all these parts are, well, their parts are sourced often in Africa, right? We know this, but they're put together in China. They got engineers from India, in California, doing technology, and they ship the parts to China, put them together. So, for example, Apple stock would drop because they can't get all their iPhones and MacBooks or whatever. Roughly, what you're talking about. One big issue is affecting trade, right? Okay. Well, see, that was the thing I said earlier. When somebody outage, I think it was like a manufactured virus, and I have heard speculation about that from the standpoint that it's an attempt to kind of unbridled power that they're experiencing now, becoming this global world power that no one can seem to stop. For those who want to stop it. And like everything's made in China, basically, right? Like how much stuff do you have that's made in China or comes from China? Even like meats and things. You've heard about those reports where it's like, oh my God, the Chinese government has all this like infested, horrible meats and fish and whatever. So that could certainly be a part of it. Less going to restaurants, spending, the economy. Okay, thank you. That helps. That helps a lot. Yeah, well, maybe corporations are charging too much in the first place. Corporations are. So here's the thing. This takes me back to my theory about money and stock, like stocks as money, things like that. Because if you have tangible money, like if you have a wad of cash or something of value in your hand or in your home, as opposed to on a stock ledger, I understand the stock ledger represents actual dollars or whatever the currency is. But if it weren't in a particular stock, right? Because really, what is a share of a company? There is no actual. They'll send you like a stock certificate, but you're not going to get a brick from the building. It's an idea that you own a part of the company, right? I guess this whole thing of tangible wealth. That's another conversation, I guess. That the value of or the security of currencies, I think, as we see right now, is pretty shaky all the world over. And the fact people are losing money because of the stock free fall is horrific. Let me ask you, those of you who, again, these finance people, so let's say I own 100 shares of whatever stock, and it goes down to zero and I have nothing left. When the market inevitably bounces back up, are those same 100 shares going to have value again? Or once they hit zero, is it? Do I have to rebuy if I want to own again? How does that work? I don't know. But it's a shame. I mean, I just feel really bad for the people who, you know what, actually, I need to check my own portfolio because I do have a little bit in there, but I don't, you know, whatever. Companies in their stock have come and gone, exactly, gold and silver. That's what I'm saying. See, we had this conversation before. Gold and silver is from the dawn of time, right? First it was shells, stones, and things like that, goats. Gold and silver, precious metals, copper, even copper, you know? So, yeah, we'll see what happens. So how long do you think it's going to take you guys for this stock market to bounce back? I don't know. Oh, but I was talking about fear. Right? I'm not willing to let fear take hold of me in any area of my life. Depends if the company goes bankrupt. Right, of course. But here's the thing. Like, Apple's not going to go bankrupt, right? I mean, well, then again, back in the day, remember Blockbuster before Netflix? People could say Netflix will never go bankrupt. Netflix will always be around until like a new whatever version of Netflix happens. Funds are going to die off. But I guess it's kind of like when a forest burns down, right? Every now and then there's like a naturally occurring forest. And there's just ash and devastation all around. Little bunches of squirrels and beetles and whatever that live in the forest die off. But over time, things regenerate. And all that burnt down compost and ash becomes fertilizer for the new generation of trees and things. And I guess it's kind of like that with the stock market. You know, it's certainly can be devastating for people who lose their life savings potentially. But things are always in cycles, it seems to me, right? It's part of the life cycle. It hasn't crashed yet. Yeah, so I keep hearing about it's approaching a bear market. And again, I'm not really clear about, okay, how do we know? Is there like a numeric indicator of when we get to bear market? I don't know. There must be, because we're talking about we're almost there, or maybe we're there now, I don't know. What else? Okay, so the political thing, we have elections coming up on the 15th. We'll see what happens. I don't feel like any of this really affects me directly. I notice it, but I'm not terribly involved. I actually know some people who are involved in this political stuff. Potential levels already following triggered the 2008 recession. What? Fallen. Oh, levels to fallen. Okay. It's already fallen, meaning we're already there at the bear market level, and that's what triggered there at the bear market level, and that's what triggered 2008 recession. Okay. So we'll see what happens. And I know people are saying bear market is 20% down. We're 20. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Wow, knowledgeable people in this group. That's good to have. So are you guys buying stocks now because of the bottom falling out? Everyone's like, buy, now's the time to buy. But I've also heard people say, if you don't know what to do, don't just start buying up stocks, because, you know, it's like they say, I've heard people say, or I've not heard, but I've read, it's a trader's market. It's not like an investor's market, something. I'm not sure what that really means. Again, because I don't know a lot about this stuff. So yes, what, Alan? Yes, what? The trader's market. Buy stock, buying silver. Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. So are the prices of gold and silver affected now? Is gold going down or silver going down? Because that I'd like to know about. They're buying puts. Oh my gosh, all these technical terms. I need you guys on my team. Help me figure this out so I know what to do. Where do I put my money? Trading Forex. Oh my God. Okay, great. Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Bye. Yes, again, Alan, I don't know what you're talking about. Guess what? Please be a little more elaborate in your answer. Big money going to cash. I don't know what that means. Anyway, so you guys, that's all that financial stuff. Feel free to message me with more information. But really tonight, that's kind of it. I don't have, I was talking about the virus. There's really no issue here in the DR. We're safe. I made my little sign. We're safe. Don't worry. Come visit. I have some more information coming about investments. Hopefully you guys did check out that video, the interview I did with Rubén García, to find out about how to invest your money here, at least in terms of property. I will be doing another interview with someone soon about residency, so make sure you check that out. I need to get that appointment set up. I'll have something else coming about general information for people who are looking to move here, like whether you're older, kind of in the retiree zone, or younger people who may want to do some things in Santo Domingo, some cool stuff to do in the country. All that's coming out if you're looking for business investments, information on like free trade zones. So, I got you. It's coming. All right. Anyway, what time is it? For me, it's 11 o'clock. And I think we're good. Losing money. Yeah, I know it's a mess out there financially. Sorry if you got money in the stock market. Hopefully talk to these guys because they'll know what to do. I'm not your source for that. Mwah. Thank you. I'm glad you liked the interview. I'm out. Have a good night. Bye, guys.